This evening, Guyana rejects Venezuela's allegation of military aggression, affirms commitment to legal resolution through ICJ. New Amsterdam man arrested to face multiple charges for injuring police constable. Exxon Mobil and Hess withdraw from Kaieteur blocks as focus shifts to Stabroek's oil and gas reserves. In the region, indigenous people march in BOGOTA to demand justice for killings. And internationally, South Africa education challenges. Lack of facilities, overcrowding, hampers schooling. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for September 29, 2023. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Guyana has vehemently denied baseless allegations by Venezuela's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ivan Pinto, claiming that Guyana's territory is being used for military aggression against Venezuela. Guyana's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Caroline Rodriguez-Briquet, firmly rejected these allegations and emphasized that they stem from Venezuela's unfounded claim to two-thirds of Guyana's territory, particularly the Essequibo region. Ambassador Rodriguez-Briquet stressed that Guyana has consistently acted in accordance with the 1966 Geneva Agreement, which serves as a legally binding instrument to settle the dispute over the 1988 arbitral award and the land boundary between Guyana and Venezuela. Despite over 20 years of attempting a peaceful resolution through the good office process, no progress was made. Consequently, in January of 2018, the Secretary General opted for the International Court of Justice as the final and binding mechanism for resolving the border controversy. Guyana filed an application with the ICJ in 2018, seeking a final judgment on the validity of the 1899 arbitral award and is currently awaiting the court's decision. Ambassador Rodriguez-Briquet urged Venezuela to adhere to the 1966 Geneva Agreement and present its case to the ICJ while accepting the court's decision as a conclusive settlement. She also emphasized that Guyana opposes any attempt to circumvent the ongoing border case before the ICJ. Meanwhile, U.S. oil producers Exxon Mobil and Hess Corp have withdrawn from exploring the Kaieteur block in Guyana's deep waters. Exxon announced on Thursday, citing disappointing exploration results. The exit comes as the producers focus on their more significant and highly productive Stabroek block, where more than 11 billion barrels of oil and gas have been discovered. Exxon said that the companies transferred their stakes in the block to Ratio Guyana Limited and Kaieteur Energy Limited, which initially held the exploration license. Ratio will take over as operator from Exxon pending government's approval. The first well drilled by Exxon in the block was deemed non-commercial. Exxon also has drilled 3 non-commercial wells in the smaller Kanchi block. Exxon Hess and CNOOC Limited consortium controls all offshore productions in Guyana through the Stabroek block. That block is producing about 380,000 barrels of oil per day. Exxon plans to have a production capacity of more than 1.2 million barrels of oil and gas equivalent per day from Stabroek by 2027. Exxon and Hess were among the oil companies that submitted bids in an auction for 14 other oil and gas exploration blocks. The results of that auction have yet to be disclosed. In other news, Prince Sinclair, a 36-year-old resident of Stanleytown in New Amsterdam, Berbice, has been arrested and is set to face multiple charges after an incident on Main Street in New Amsterdam, Berbice on Wednesday, September 27. The incident involved Sinclair driving into and injuring a police constable, Daniel Fredericks, stationed at the Central Police Station's traffic department. Constable Fredericks had encountered Sinclair's car, PLL 4242, parked within 30 feet of Shoreline Street and Main Street, obstructing traffic. The officer proceeded to inform Sinclair of the offense. Sinclair reacted angrily, using explicit. Sinclair then drove his vehicle towards Constable Fredericks, colliding with his right foot, causing Fredericks to fall onto the car's bonnet, and the car driver continued to drive along Main Street and then onto Republic Road. Sinclair eventually fled the scene but was later arrested and placed in custody. Constable Fredericks received medical treatment for his injury. Sinclair is scheduled to appear in court to answer for his actions. Stick around when we return. 72-year-old pensioner and 68-year-old motorcyclist arrested for unlicensed firearm. And violent storm claims 3 lives and injures 4 at Jawalamak Dam.
gosh, what is this? Me son can't read or spell. Stop! 0 out of 20. Is what I could do here.
Let's start improving your child grades today. Register for our primary or nursery department. Hidden Treasures, we're located at 204 East Half Charlotte Street between Camp and Alexander. Or contact us at 649-0373.
I can call them now.
Hidden Treasures, discovering gems in young minds.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 46 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brickdam and White Castle Fish Shop. Be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
All we will be making Chinese noodles with peppies, chow mein, chicken fritters, and spice cake. For the noodles, all these will be using peppies, black pepper, cashew,
Chinese sauce, soy sauce, garlic sauce, paprika, Chinese seasoning, chow mein seasoning, white spice, and all-purpose seasoning.
Next, this chicken that we marinated, soak for all you wanna know nothing with peppies, green seasoning, miracle seasoning,
pepper sauce, chicken seasoning, paprika, garlic powder, dark seasoning, black pepper, onion powder, and ginger powder, and document plantain flour, and then this butter we make with this quick piece powder, and we
boil in high. We serve with peppies, barbecue sauce. Radika went to the supermarket and she papa buy up enough things. She feels she alone can cook, but she routine even wrong. She shaped like a Guyana map.
Peppies has a wide range of ingredients available at supermarkets nationwide. Peppies, we put the pep back into your kitchen.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. We tell you now that a violent storm at Jawala Dam, Mazaruni River in Region 7 killed 3 persons and injured 4 on Thursday, September 28th. The incident occurred when heavy rains and gusting winds around 3 p.m. caused several trees to uproot at a farming camp owned by Olivia Henry. Reports said that at the time of the incident, 10 persons were at a farming camp when a large tree nearby suddenly fell and crashed down on the camp, resulting in the death of 34-year-old Celeste Albert, 69-year-old Selena Hope, and 25-year-old Godfrina Fredericks, all farmers of Jawala village. Among the 4 injured is a 1-year-old toddler who suffered trauma to the head, a fractured left arm, and lacerations to the right leg. The injured persons were taken to the Camarang Hospital and are presently receiving treatment, while the dead bodies are at the Jawala Health Post awaiting arrangements for post-mortem examinations. When detectives and other ranks from the Regional Division 4 visited the scene, there was evidence of several uprooted trees. In other news, 3 persons caught with more than 1 kilogram of cocaine in a house at Prashad Nagar, Greater Georgetown, were convicted and jailed for 2 years when they appeared at the Georgetown Magistrates Court earlier today. They were also each fined $1.7 million. Magistrate Anita Singh imposed the custodial and monetary penalties on Lena Narain, Earl Branch, and Sherilyn Edmondson. They were found guilty of having over 2 pounds of cocaine in their possession with a local street value of approximately 1.1 million Ghana dollars. They were arrested at Prashad Nagar on January 27, 2023. Edmondson was a money changer at the time of the arrest and Branch was a handyman. Moving on. 2 elderly individuals, 72-year-old George Aubrey Archer and 68-year-old Lionel Haynes, were separately arrested for unlicensed firearms. In the first incident, police in Regional Division 2 received information leading them to undernaming sandpit on the Essequibo coast. They contacted George Aubrey Archer, a 72-year-old pensioner, and found an unlicensed .32 Taurus pistol with a magazine and 17 live rounds in his possession. Archer admitted to lacking a firearm license, claiming the weapon was for his self-defense. He was arrested and is assisting with investigations at the Saudi police station. In the second incident, a roadblock exercise conducted by police at Wim Quarantine Berbice led to the arrest of 68-year-old Lionel Haynes, riding a Honda 150 motorcycle. Haynes failed 2 breathalyzer tests exceeding the legal limits. A search revealed a .32 Beretta pistol with 6 matching live rounds, and he did not have a firearm license. Haynes was arrested for driving under the influence and unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition and is presently in custody at the Wim police station as investigations continues. Don't go away after the break. South Africa education challenges, lack of facilities, overcrowding, hamper schooling, and gravity tests. Antimatters fall down, but where did they all go?
Problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Hello, my fellow TikToker followers. It's Credit, and today all we will be making Chinese noodles with peppies, chow mein, chicken fritters, and poise cake. For the noodles, all of these will be using peppies, black pepper, cashew,
Chinese sauce, soy sauce, garlic sauce, paprika, Chinese seasoning, chow mein seasoning, 5 spice, and all-purpose seasoning.
Next, this chicken that we marinate soak for all you who don't know nothing with peppies, green seasoning, miracle seasoning,
Pepper sauce, chicken seasoning, paprika, garlic powder, Turmeric seasoning, black pepper, onion powder, and ginger powder, and document plantain flour, and then this butter we make with this quick piece powder, and we
boil in high. We serve with peppies, barbecue sauce. Radhika went to the supermarket and she proper buy up enough things. She feels she alone can cook, but she routine even wrong. She shaped like a guy in a map.
Peppies has a wide range of ingredients available at supermarkets nationwide. Peppies, we put the pep back into your kitchen.
Smart Minds Educational Institute, offering preschool, nursery, and primary levels. Finally, a school that is every parent's dream. Located at 69 Crow Street, offering academic excellence, trained qualified teachers, small class sizes, personalized care, and one-to-one attention for your little ones. At Smart Minds, register for full-time or evening classes, daily practice pass exam papers for proficiency at the grade 2, 4, and 6 assessment, and CXE exam preparedness. Or join our Becca Phonics reading and writing program. So if your child is for preschool, nursery, or primary level, come to Smart Mind, located at 69 Street, or call 231-4885 or 600-9229 to enroll now.
When you need money and you gotta get it fast, Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop is the place for that confidential transaction in a quiet and secure location. You'll get the highest value per pennyweight for your gold and also enjoy the lowest interest rates and longest payback period too. Yes, for that instant transaction to solve a pressing financial problem. That Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, 4-6 Boyle Place, that's between the Ministry of Housing on Brick Dam and White Castle Fish Shop, be your first and only choice. Creative Jewelry and Pawn Shop, safe and sound, solid and secure, always there for you. Telephone 231-7878 and 223-8955.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. Thousands of people in Colombia have been showing their support for President Gustavo Petro by marching in the capital. The left-wing leader has been calling for demonstrations to back his social reform. Al Jazeera's Alexandria Rampieti reports.
A massive response in support of a president's troubled agenda. Tens of thousands of Colombians heeding the call of Gustavo Petro, the country's first leftist head of state, in defense of his ambitious social and economic reforms. Among them workers, labor unions, students, and 18,000 indigenous Colombians from across the country.
The reforms are very necessary for the Colombian people, like land reform in the hands of the few and all the other reforms that would benefit the people.
We are here to support change, a change towards reforms that previous governments owed us so much in terms of labor, and we seek to vindicate ourselves by doing so.
Yet change has been hard to come. Health, labor, agriculture and education bills presented by the government and aimed at changing the face of one of the most unequal countries in the world have all been lagging in Congress. A year after taking office, Petro's initially wide coalition with traditional parties has fallen apart, and Petro's plunged in the polls. At the end of the rally, the president himself calling for a national agreement with the country's establishment.
I propose to former presidents, to the richest, to the parties, to the business associations, to all of you to talk about these great issues: truth, education and land reform as the basis for peace in Colombia.
But this rally comes just a month before regional elections that are seen as a referendum on Petro's administration. Polls suggest a majority of voters could turn their backs on government's candidates.
I think that this demonstration, while undoubtedly the most important so far, is more than anything a preventative measure against what will probably be an electoral defeat in October. So when traditional parties will further lose incentive to be part of a government coalition, Petro will have this card to play: popular support in the streets.
In the end, the president got the turnout he had hoped for to reinvigorate this message, but most here believe that without a strong showing of his candidates in the upcoming regional elections, moving forward as many reforms will remain very difficult. Alessandro Rampieti, Al Jazeera, Bogota.
Internationally, in South Africa's province of Eastern Cape, many students are having to learn in overcrowded classrooms because there aren't enough schools. The governing African National Congress says it is trying to improve conditions in poor communities, but it is proving difficult to make progress. Al Jazeera's Huru Mutasib reports.
Rural Eastern Cape is one of the poorest and least developed provinces in South Africa. Children here attend Zamukanyo Farm School. They take their lessons in prefabricated classrooms until the government builds permanent structures. One of the many challenges here is overcrowding.
It's not easy to teach them when they are so overcrowded in the classrooms. It's totally difficult. Because when you go to other classes, their tables, they are just in front of the chalkboard. So there are so many kids, it's not easy.
The children live in neighborhoods where there is high unemployment and poverty. Activists say education in the Eastern Cape is in crisis because of government corruption and mismanagement. Parents concerned about the quality of schooling their children are receiving often can't afford to move them to better equipped schools. New permanent schools, such as this one, are being built by the state. Officials say education in South Africa still suffers from the legacy of decades of apartheid, where black children were given inferior education and resources.
If you go back to the Nelson Mandela Bay, where I'm coming from, you will see these dilapidated wooden schools that are falling apart. We are taking them one by one in fixing these schools to give our people better infrastructure. Yes, at times people feel that we're too slow in our movement, but it's not the case. It is just the challenges we're facing are so enormous.
This school was recently built, but like several other state-run schools in the province, challenges such as overcrowding persist. Teachers and students at Zamukanyo Farm School are still waiting for their school to be built. Until that happens, teachers say they are doing the best they can with the little they've got. Harumutasa, Al Jazeera, Stutterheim, South Africa.
And finally, one of the greatest mysteries of physics has been solved. How does antimatter fall? It is not a question that keeps most people awake at night, but physicists have been waiting for its answer for years. Al Jazeera's Colin Barker reports.
In Star Trek, it's the stuff that powered the warp drive of the Starship Enterprise into the 23rd century.
Take us out.
But antimatter isn't fiction, it's real, and it's one of the greatest puzzles in our universe. That's because there should be as much of it as normal matter. But physicists can't find reserves of it anywhere on Earth, nor anywhere else in the cosmos. It can only be found in extremely tiny samples made at incredible expense here, in Earth's largest particle accelerator, the CERN laboratory of Switzerland.
So basically what we want to do with it is to just make sure that every property that we know that matter has, that antimatter has it in the same way, or maybe not, because any small difference there could help us understand what happened with the antimatter.
In 1928, British mathematician Paul Dirac discovered antimatter in an equation. But whole atoms of antimatter don't exist for very long, and that's because when they meet normal matter, the two explode with the strongest energy release known by scientists. If both had been created in equal measure during the Big Bang, the universe would have ended as soon as it began.
So there's a big mystery because half the universe is gone. So it's an interesting question in itself.
For 2 decades, scientists at CERN have been making whole antimatter atoms. They want to find out how they work, but mostly they wanted to drop them to see if they fell upwards, opposite gravity's pull. Because if they did, it would have thrown physics into crisis.
It would be an enormous revolution. It means we don't understand physics. We don't understand nature at all.
After 2 decades, CERN's physicists produced about 100 millionths of a gram of antihydrogen and tipped a few dozen into a tube. The result? They fell down, just like normal matter.
In physics, you don't really know something until you observe it. So this was the first attempt to actually observe that. What happens if I drop antimatter in the gravitational field of the Earth? And the answer is, as far as we can tell, they drop in the same way to the current level of precision of this experiment.
Galileo, Newton, and Einstein vindicated. And no antimatter spaceships for us anytime soon. Colin Baker, Al Jazeera.
This has brought us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's Safe TV2 headline news for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. We will be off for the weekend, but you can tune in on Monday at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other, and do have a wonderful weekend.